was malicious. But yeah, I mean, I think Twitter was heavy-handed. I disagree with them banning so many right-leaning accounts. Even though I disagree with those accounts, I'm happy that you took over and you straightened that out. Of course, I don't agree with everything everybody says, but I also don't think that a company should be the one deciding what's right to be posted and what's not.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, the situation with X is often characterized as sort of a right-wing takeover, but really I would characterize it as a moderate-wing takeover. In that there's, to the best of my knowledge, no prominent, say, Democrat account or left-leaning account has been suspended, or if there is, I'm happy to happy to fix that. But I don't think that's the case. It's just that we did not suspend voices on the right, and we allowed those accounts to come back on. So, but it will be seen as a move to the right because it was so far left. If you move to the center from the far left, it is, I guess, a move to the right, but it's really just a move to the center. At least that's the aspiration. Now I'll have my own views, which personal views on the subject, which I'll continue to speak my mind as I sort of see fit, independent of the platform. But the platform itself is intended to be fair and even-handed, and not biased towards any one account or any viewpoint.
Yeah, and I think personally for me, I think if you go back 5 or 6 years, I don't think I was entirely against Twitter banning some of the people I disagree with. And it wasn't until I was actually banned that I realized how stupid that was of me to think that. Because everybody thinks they're right and the other person's wrong. So I think that you need to put put the other person's shoes on your feet and try and walk in them for a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, free speech is only relevant when it's someone you don't like saying something you don't like. You know that there's free speech if someone you don't like can say something you don't like. But if that's not the case, then it's really, I think, only a matter of time before that censorship apparatus is turned on you. So that's why we want freedom of speech, but it necessarily will mean that, like, you might really hate what someone you hate is saying, but that's how you know you have free speech. So, well, let's see. Is there anything more that you'd like to say? Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, first of all, I just want to thank everybody. I think this is a really illuminating conversation. Mike, Vince, especially, man, you issued a clarion call for reforms on this stuff a long time ago, and have really been attacked by the legacy media. And so just want to express gratitude for again, being a voice in the wilderness on the stuff. Obviously, Elon, everything you've done to support the free, fair, and open marketplace of ideas, the innovations you brought. It kind of as a closing thought, we're about to enter an election cycle, to the extent we haven't already. We are talking about elections, we're talking about election integrity, we're talking about political candidates. And when you see the type of viewpoint discrimination that you've uncovered through the Twitter files, or that certainly we feel like we put on as evidence based on the discovery we obtained in this lawsuit, where this isn't equitable. It's not like all viewpoints are treated equal. The Biden administration clearly targeted anyone who dissented with their policy positions. And so the suppression of free speech was really targeted at core political speech, at least in the evidence that we've uncovered. What does this mean? It's dripping with irony that the same people who profess to want to promote truth against disinformation and misinformation and want to, protect democracy would undermine our democratic process and suppress truthful speech. And this has never been about truth. It's always been about power. But what do you see as we move into an election cycle? Kind of closing thoughts as far as what's at stake in this fight for free speech as it relates to elections?
Yeah, well, I think it's essential to have free speech in order, to know, well, who should you vote is censored or suppressed, then you don't know whether you should vote for one candidate or another. So, and I think it's sometimes like there are people like I actually know a lot of people, and the FBI and Homeland Security and the State Department, and I don't think they're like bad people actually, but it's just you just can't have this government censorship apparatus exist at all, and I think if and for those that are like that do want it to exist, they as Brian mentioned earlier, it's like you gotta be prepared to have the shoe be on the other foot. Like, okay, so if there's suppression of people on the right, well, what happens? So let's say if Trump were to win in November, well, then he would have those same tools to use against the left. So I think we want to just have those tools not exist. Because as long as they exist, I think those in power will not be able to resist the temptation to use them.
Yeah, no, couldn't agree more. And again, I just want to say thank you to everybody for being present and being involved in the conversation. I think that, again, the truth will emerge from the competition of ideas and free, transparent, and public discourse. And that's why this fight is so important, and especially as we move into the election cycle. I know I want to thank you, Elon, for everything you've done in this, in this space, and specifically with Twitter Files and in the fight for free speech in America. Certainly, we're going to continue to fight in Missouri v. Biden to root out the vast censorship enterprise and put an end to it once and for all. Hopefully, the Supreme Court does the right thing. Energized by getting to be there today to make argument in this case, and can't thank everybody enough for your time.
All right, thank you very much. I hope this was helpful to people.
Okay, that was the world famous Elon Musk.
Chemistry, which was definitely a sacred art. In practice, what is the difference in these two systems? I think probably Paracelsus summarized this rather well when he pointed out that the alchemical transmutation was impossible unless the alchemist himself was in the process of transformation. He could not sit back with his bottles and test tubes and retorts and consider his art simply another way of advancing chemistry or a way of replenishing his own financial needs. So we find as is today that chemistry is largely dominated